You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook. All right, guys, welcome in here to Watson's Playbook episode number 30. And the big 3-0. I turned 30 2 years ago. And let me tell you what, they say, I was told when you hit 30, everything goes downhill. And man, are they right. As far as your body and everything. I don't know if that's the way you guys feel too, but 4 kids and turning 30 was, pretty hard on the body. I got the dad bod going on here. But big number 3-0, we got quite a bit that happened this week in football. Some in baseball, some things going on here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The weekly sports update this week. You have, number one is the Browns. The Browns run through Derrick Henry and the Titans 41-35. And it wasn't even that close. Baker Mayfield had 4 touchdown passes in the first half of that game. They shut down Derrick Henry. They only allowed him to have 60 yards. That's the big issue with the Tennessee Titans. You shut down Derrick Henry, you shut down that team. Their defense is hit or miss. Some games they play well, some games they don't. This game was not a good game for them. They allowed 41 points. I'm not sold on the Tennessee Titans. I'm not sold on Tannehill. Tannehill's able to play pretty decent because Derrick Henry's rushing and averaging about 6 yards, 5 yards a carry, and that opens up his ability to throw for him. I'm not sold on the Tennessee Titans. And on the other hand, the Browns looking pretty good right now. They're finding ways to get the job done. This game was in Tennessee, so they were able to stomp a mud hole in the Titans in their own house. So number 2, the Jets find a new way to tank, or are they just that dumb? That's the question. Are they tanking on purpose, or are they just this stupid? So they lose to the Raiders in the last play of the game, giving up a 45-yard deep pass. Now, let me explain to you why they were so dumb. There was only 13 seconds on the clock. They were beating the Raiders. The only play that can beat the Jets is a deep pass for a touchdown, right? It's the only play that allows the Jets to lose this ballgame. The only play, so literally in every situation, they went back and looked at it since 2006. There's been 253 passing attempts in this situation. 15 seconds or less on the clock, under or a little bit over about 40 yards to the end zone. In every situation, all those teams play prevent defense to prevent players getting behind you and scoring. That's the only defense the Jets should have ran at this point. But the Jets being the Jets and Greg Williams being Greg Williams decided to call a zero blitz, which means everybody blitzes except 2 or 3 guys. Actually, no, it was 4 guys drop back, and they blitz everybody else. And that allows they have an undrafted free agent player, rookie, who gets beat by Oakland's best wide receiver. Derek Carr throws a touchdown pass to beat the Jets and remain 0-12, or to drop them to 0-12. They remain number 1 spot for Trevor Lawrence. And look, if you're a Jets fan, you're probably hoping that they keep losing so you can get Trevor Lawrence. They'll fire the coaching staff probably, and you can hopefully they'll be able to turn this thing around with Trevor Lawrence this next year. They actually ended up firing Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, after the game because such a crappy decision to blow that game. That's the only way they could blow it. He called that, and they blew it, and they lost. They found a new way to lose. Number 3, the Colts beat the Texans as Deshaun Watson driving down the field with a chance to win the game. He fumbles. This is inside their own 15-yard line, I believe. He fumbled the shotgun snap. The Colts were able to recover the fumble and ended the game. And this is pretty much wraps up what the Houston Texans season's been like. They've been really bad. They had a tough schedule. Their coach is dumb. They fired their coach. They're trying to figure out where they're going. Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback. J.J. Watt wanting out of Houston. They have their other wide receiver. What's his name? They traded DeAndre Hopkins over the offseason. Their other wide receiver gets test positive for steroids. He's banned for the rest of the season. So you got a lot of problems there in Houston, and I don't know who they're going to get next to fill in those spots. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers is the fastest quarterback to throw for 400 touchdowns as the Packers beat the Eagles 30-16. Carson Wentz gets benched for Jalen Hurts, who provided a spark and played better than Wentz did. When he came in, he was able to keep the game pretty close. They were looking like they were going to come back, but it wasn't enough because Aaron Jones put the game out of reach with a 77-yard touchdown run. He rushed for 130 yards in this game. Good game by him. Devontae Adams had a really good game. Aaron Rodgers looked like the MVP, and they get the job done in Philadelphia or in Green Bay. Number 5, the Giants upset the Seattle Seahawks. Upset alert. Ring that upset alert bell there. They beat the Seahawks 17-12. They pressured Russell Wilson all day long. They had 4.5 sacks. And Russ and the Seahawks have started to fall off. They started off strong. They've been saving to fade late. And the MVP for Russ is far away at this point. There was a couple start of the season. It looked like Russell Wilson was going to run away with the MVP award. He's kind of fallen off. He's turning over the ball quite a bit. He's getting pressured a lot. And that defense, the defense actually showed up to play. And the Giants had to back up Colt McCoy in because Josh Daniels, their starter, or sorry, not Josh Daniels, Daniel Jones, their starter, injured his leg, and he is out. He might start next week, but we don't know. But the Seattle Seahawks go down, and I think they're fading. They are fading at the wrong part of the season here. Number 6, the Broncos almost upset the Chiefs as they lose the close battle, 22-16. They only allow the Chiefs to score 1 touchdown, which is huge because the Chiefs usually do what they want. Denver's defense stepped it up that game. Patrick Mahomes finds another way to get the job done. He always finds a new way to get the win at the end of the day. That's what makes him so special, makes him so good. He's the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. And they just find ways to win, no matter what kind of game it is. If it's a shootout, if it's a close game, if it's a defensive matchup, they find a way to win, and that's what makes Patrick Mahomes pretty dang special. Number 7, the Rams take control of a tough division as they beat the Cardinals 38-28. They seem to be on a roll of late. The defense is stepping up. Jared Goff has stopped turning over the football. They're playing really good right now, and I look for them to push to probably take that division this year. Kyle Murray has been struggling as of late. He started off pretty strong. He played some okay games here and there, but you feel like this guy's taking that next step from last season. Second year in the league right now. He's finding a way to use his legs. He's a really good scrambler, really good runner of the football. But he's struggling as of late, making decisions with the football. then this is the time where he really needs to step up for his team if they want to push forward to the playoffs. I believe right now the Arizona Cardinals are looking on the outside end for the playoff spot. Number eight, the Washington football team upset the Steelers heading into their first loss of the season. As if you want to go back and listen to episode 29 of Watson's Playbook, me and Jeff predicted this would happen. The Steelers offense came out very sluggish, very slow. They did go up 14-3 at halftime. And at that point, I said, I don't know if Washington's going to be able to come back. The Washington's a team that is going to fight hard. They play for their coach, Ron Rivera. And they just keep the game close. The second half of the game, they were able to pressure Ben Roethlisberger, and they totally killed their offense. They were able to get the job done. The Pittsburgh Steelers have an issue right now. And the issue is they don't run the ball a lot. They passed the ball 51 times against Washington and only ran it like I think 10 to 12 times. They have a problem finding a consistent running back. They're not very balanced on offense right now. I think that's why they're struggling. Their defense is good enough to carry them. We're going to see, though, when they hit the playoffs, what the record will be. We're going to see if they can match up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe even the Baltimore. They match up pretty well with the Baltimore Ravens, who the Ravens have been sliding as of late. That goes to number 9. We'll talk about it here as the Cowboys and the Ravens played last night. The Ravens get the job done 34-17. This game was a little bit closer into the fourth quarter at 17-10. They start blowing away. I'm not a big believer in Baltimore. I'm not a big believer in Lamar Jackson. Yeah, they just dominated the Cowboys, but that's not hard to do these days. The Cowboys give up 294 yards on the ground. Baltimore averaged 7.9 yards of carry. And when you do that, it's just straight up domination. The Cowboys defense is bad. This team is bad all around. But the Baltimore Ravens get the job done. They win. They'll probably make the playoffs. There could have been a situation where they don't. They're going to finish the season pretty well. I think they might get 10 wins. The next 3 or 4 games here are pretty easy. So they should come close to making the playoffs in a tough division. But I'm not a big believer in Lamar Jackson. He was MVP last year. The NFL's figured him out. He only threw for 110 yards last night. And he's not a thrower of the football. And you cannot win the championship in this league when you're bad at throwing the football. This is not going to happen. So I'm not a big believer in Baltimore. Not a big believer in Lamar Jackson. All right, guys, that's your weekly sports update. There's a lot going on. We kind of look at these games, and I thought not much would happen. There's actually a lot that happened. I called an upset of Atlanta over the New Orleans Saints this week. It didn't happen as the Saints get the job done. But that is it for the weekly sports update. I'm going to welcome in Jeff. He is on the line. Jeff, how are you doing this week, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How have you been?
Been pretty good. Pretty good. We've been busy. The weather's been fantastic here in Texas. We've been getting up into the 60s and 70s. I've been taking the girls outside a lot more and going on walks, letting them play outside. And had a long day at work the other day. We had a dinner mishap, but other than that, it's been pretty good. I'm making more hours at work and stuff like that. So I can't really complain right now. So
that's good. Yeah, I just did watch the not the whole game, but I watched on and off the Bronco and Chiefs game, and I will say it was I'm not really a big fan of like the whole moral victory thing, but I'll say the defense played very well, and offensively there were a few times where there were some, I don't know if it was just, it's weird. This team shows these like little glimpses of like what they can be, and then then they show how young they are. So
yeah.
So it's interesting, but it's good to see. I think that a lot of fans here want to see some like, Luck isn't it, whatever. But I think there's something to say that this team's being able to do this to the Chiefs with not a lot of people from their starting squads still on the team. So it's kind of interesting. I think the Broncos kind of went away from the run game in that game a little bit, from what I could tell. And I think that if they had bounced a little bit more, I think that they would have at least come a little closer to winning the game, or possibly making it a lot closer than it was. But I mean, the defense can only hold on so long,
Well, you only gave it one touchdown pass, or one touchdown to the Kansas City Chiefs. That itself is a pat on the back. The rest is all field goals. So it's a moral victory. You're not looking like you're going to go anywhere this season due to different things and injuries and everything else. My question to you is about the Broncos. Is you think your head coach is on the chopping block after the season?
No, I don't.
No?
Reason why is because I've seen him completely turn a defense that everyone was like, this is going to be bad. You don't have Von Miller. You don't have other pieces defensively to stop the run game, have a pass rush that's worth anything. And honestly, I will say that he has turned the defense around, the coach. Now, I don't know if it's just drafting players, getting some free agents, having an eye for the talent. But I love what he's done to the defense. I don't think he has a lot of confidence in the offense, which is understandable. But I think that defensively, I mean, that's exactly the way this team has been built from the get-go. The Broncos and John Elway have been wanting to build this team. Defense, run the ball, passing would be our second or third option, right? And I think that you're seeing that happen. The offensive line, I think, is playing a lot better. And it's just this team is getting better. And I think that offensively, that stuff will click over maybe the offseason and going into next season. I think that'll click a lot more because I don't think we'll have to worry about too much of, this is a new scheme. These are new players. There's no relationship between them. All this stuff that's been said time and time again on the offensive side of the ball. But I think that'll be okay. I don't think that their offense is going to be like this ridiculous offense is just going to put up points like crazy. But I do think this is going to be an offense that if you need them to go out and do what they need to do, they'll do it. And the defense will be there to anchor it all and put it all into place. And I think building a team like that is good because then you'll have a team that I'm not saying that they're going to be the Steelers right now, but I'm saying you have a team that looks very similar to what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing.
Right.
Where you have a defense that's anchoring that offense, and the offense is complementing how good the defense is. So it's just, you know what I mean?
Exactly right. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the defense is carrying this team. Their offense is, they're finding ways to win the game. They're very complimentary. I think the one thing that Denver has right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't is a running attack. You've been more consistent with it. The Pittsburgh Steelers threw the ball 51 times this week against Washington. They didn't run the ball very much, so that's something they're struggling to find is a consistent balance in the run. With Denver, it's all about right now, as far as I see, is developing your quarterback. You got the wide receiver talent on your team with Jerry Jeudy and what's the other guy? I forget his name. What's your other wide receiver?
We have
Noah Fant, your tight end. He's going to be excellent for.
Yeah.
He should be your security blanket for your quarterback. I always forget your it's Courtland Sutton. I
don't think Courtland Sutton's not playing right now.
No, I know. I'm just talking about in the future.
Yeah.
It's about developing that and developing your quarterback. But if that defense and can hold. And look, by all means, Jeff, if you guys fire your head coach, I'll take him as a defensive coordinator in Green Bay, because I think it's time for Mike Pettine to be kicked out once the season's over for Green Bay. Hopefully they will. But I just brought that question.
Yeah, I don't think he's on his way out. I think the players like him. I think he's good for this team, because I think that John Elway, first of all, if we fire him, then it's just going to be a circus, and this team can never get better if we continue to keep firing people. This team has been known to continue and kind of keep coaches for a while, and as of late, we haven't done that. We've kind of pulled the trigger on so many different coaches, and I just don't think right now is the time to do something like that, because they're so young. These players are really young, and allow them to develop this relationship. I mean, imagine if, let's say that the New England Patriots would have fired Bill Belichick after a couple of seasons because he was too tough, right? Or they weren't doing as well as they hoped they were doing. Then we wouldn't see what ultimately would have become, a great coach that everyone assumed maybe wouldn't have been so great because he was so hard on his players. And it's just kind of like, I think that's the thing about Vic Fangio, is that he's very tough. I mean, him and Bill Belichick are cut from the same kind of cloth. I mean, they're the old school guys that have been around for a very long time, and they have that old school way of coaching teams and stuff. And I think this team definitely needs that stability, that accountability too. Like when something goes wrong, hey, you're held accountable, and you got to instill that in these young players, because if you don't, they're just going to do whatever they want and have no regard for the system that the team is wanting to run. And so I think Vic Fangio is a perfect coach for this team, because this team has always been kind of like all about no nonsense, and he's about no nonsense. And so I think that's perfect. I think it's a perfect match. I like the defensive mindset that he has. I don't want to get rid of somebody that is definitely making this team is making strides. And they took Garrett Bowles, who was horrible the last 4 years. He has become one of the top offensive linemen in the league. He's amazing. And I never thought I would say that. He was always a penalty just sponge constantly. Yeah, and it was like constant until now. He's awesome. And I'm like, man, we just got to develop these players. Like they can be good. So just develop them, be patient, and just watch this just happen. It's going to happen. This team's about to turn a road, and the fans will be very happy when that happens. Trust me, it's about to take place. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I don't have anything against Denver Broncos. Actually, they were my sleeper team this last season. But the COVID year and injuries took them out of it. But like you're saying, lots of turnover isn't good. I don't think Vic Fangio should be on the chopping block yet, or anytime soon, like you said. And he's defensive minded, so I just kind of want him in Green Bay, because our defense is our issue, and our defense has actually been playing somewhat decent as of late. So I'll take it. I already know our spotlight of the week for next week, Jeff. A couple questions I asked a couple Dallas Cowboy fans here, but that'll be for next week. So it's a good tease there. I got some sideline notes here. If you want to jump into those real quick.
Yeah.
I got one basketball one. So James Harden, a holdout. Was James Harden holding out from the Houston Rockets? He didn't show up on time. They reported yesterday that the Rockets are considering him a holdout at this point. And then like 3 hours later, James Harden showed up to the facility and showed up to practice. But he does want out, I think, of the Houston Rockets. He's done everything he can for this team. They've done everything they can for him. I think he's In all honesty, he's a really good basketball player. I don't think his kind of basketball can win championships. And I do think he's pretty selfish because his team has given him multiple people to play with, and it hasn't worked out. He does want to trade. He said he wants to go to the Brooklyn Nets or the 76ers, and told him he's open as well to going other places as far as trying to get out of Houston.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think everybody's kind of been predicting this for a while. You just see a team kind of go and go and go, and then nothing really ever comes of it. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that it's just not going to happen with him and the Rockets. It could happen with another team, and it's very possible. I mean, we assume that it's James Harden was maybe the problem, but maybe they was the place. That happens sometimes,
Right.
It's not always it's not always the best. It's not always the best place every time, I mean, so it could just be Houston.
I think it's a little bit of both, but Houston Rockets have spent money to get players to him. Look, he's a fantastic scorer of the basketball. He's a fantastic defender when he wants to be. He's gotten better at the defensive side. He's passing the ball a lot more. It's just the type of basketball that he plays. I just don't think it's championship level basketball. I don't think he can get there. It's not a very team friendly style. It's more of give me the ball. I'm going to, it's just ISO ball. AAU basketball is what they call it in there, and it's not more of a team friendly basketball. But we'll see what happens.
And that could be a Houston problem. That could be a Houston problem. I mean, we assume it's just the way he is or whatever, but maybe he needs a coach to go, hey, look, this is what you've been doing wrong, and this is how we can fix it. And so it's very possible that, I could see him with the 76ers because I think the coach is a good coach, and I think that he could definitely mold James Harden into a different player possibly and just play in a different way, different mindset. The Nets are probably the most easy, like, hey, yeah, okay, makes sense, right? Because all these players are there. But I don't know. I like the 76ers. I just like the coach.
Yeah, I think he would fit well in there. Doc Rivers took over that coaching job. And with 76ers, I think he'd work well with Embiid, and they have some other players to go around him. I think 76ers will be a good fit. If he goes there, if he goes to the Brooklyn Nets and they win a championship, which I don't think would happen, then people would be saying that he jumped teams just to win, took the easy way out. If he goes to 76ers, it's not really a superstar team, something that he can play into as well. But Houston, I don't think is really wanting to trade him. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Other news is baseball news now. Winter meetings have started. Only two things I've heard come down is Ranger related. So the Rangers deal Lance Lynn to the White Sox for two pitchers. One's a prospect. The other one is a 25-year-old baseball player. Dane Dunning is his name. Right now, he's our best starter because we are depleted. We are in a complete rebuild, and it's with the Texas Rangers. Lance Lynn, we were wondering why Lance Lynn wasn't traded last season. He was dominating teams. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball last year, and we were wondering why did you not trade him at the trade deadline? This is not how you don't hold on to him because his value at the end of the year isn't going to go up. It goes down in the offseason. So Lance Lynn gets traded, and it comes out that he told the Texas Rangers last season, if you trade me somewhere I don't want to go, I will opt out because due to COVID. And they basically use that as a no trading clause. So I think that kind of hindered some things. He gets traded to the White Sox. The White Sox right now have a bunch of young talent. They have a lot of young prospects in their farm. We took a top 10 pitcher from them in their farm system. So we'll see how that goes. The second thing for the Texas Rangers is they hire former Rangers pitcher Chris Young to be their new general manager. And I saw that news pop up and I said, wait a minute, Josh Daniels is our GM. Did we fire Josh Daniels? A lot of people, including myself, would like that, to fire Josh Daniels. That's not what happened. They moved Josh Daniels. They moved him and promoted him to president of operations. And Chris Young is going to be our new general manager. And so,
which doesn't change much.
Well, Chris Young, it could, and I got to have some optimistic here, Jeff, because I already told you I'm so frustrated with the Rangers. I'm going to basically spend my time watching hockey and getting back into hockey because the Rangers have frustrated me so bad with their front office. But Chris Young started his career with the Rangers. We traded him away a couple years. He won a World Series with a team. I don't know who. I forget where he went. He's actually coming from MLB front office. He actually was working for the MLB front office, and they said he was in line to be the next commissioner of baseball. That's how smart he is, how great he is at building relationships with other people. We took him from there. His hometown team, where his family's from. That's all fine and dandy. I think it's great. If he was going to be on the line to be the next commissioner of baseball, he's got to be pretty bright. He's pretty smart. Him being a pitcher should allow him to be able to hopefully come in and changing our scouting department and everything like that. So it just depends on how much control he's going to have and everything. And my biggest issue, though, has always been the ownership doesn't spend money. So if they're not spending money, don't know much what he's going to do, but we'll see. You got to be optimistic as a Texas Ranger fan. And when I heard he came from the MLB offices and was in line to be the next commissioner, I felt a little bit better about it. So I don't know. That's all I got at baseball. I don't know if you have any Yankee news. I know you're a Yankee fan, unfortunately. But yeah,
well, fortunately,
baseball.
Unfortunately, you know.
No, unfortunately, Jeff. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, when people are cheating, yeah, of course. But no, it's going to be slow with this stuff. With baseball, I think the winter meetings are going to be super, super slow. That's why everything is just taking so long. Nobody knows what's going on. A lot of people are. COVID did a number on a lot of teams in terms of finances and stuff. So I think people are less reluctant to spend big, even though there's gonna be quite a bit of things out there. You have is it Bauer? I can't remember that guy's name. He plays for, I think, the Twins. Anyway, he's like the top pitcher right now. Everybody's kind of wanting, figure out where he's going to go. I know that the Yankees are trying to figure out a way to continue to keep DJ LeMahieu, who was runner-up for MVP. But and they should. He's probably one of, if not the top infield players in the game. He's just really amazing. He's also just insane with hitting. He can hit and he can spray the ball anywhere on the field. People will shift on him when he's at bat and he'll just completely hit it the opposite direction. So there's not a lot you can do against DJ LeMahieu. So that's kind of a big player right now that is causing a lot of worry in Yankees way views because he could go anywhere. They haven't signed him yet. So they allowed him to test the free agent market, and it's kind of nerve-wracking because he's really good. I think he's a hometown kid, so he's always been a Yankee fan, kind of like Garrett Cole. Same.
Who's your third baseman right now?
Urshela. I'm trying to think of Gio Urshela. That's it. Gio Urshela, and he's good. He's really good. Very underrated. I think I think he got a Gold Glove this year. But
I heard of something on the radio, and the reason I asked you that, and I heard of just a rumor mill of trades that are not maybe rumor, but people would like to see. And if this trade,
talking about Lindor.
No, I'm not talking about Lindor.
Okay.
This trade I heard was the Yankees would send Carlos Stanton who's been nothing but injured there for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
to the Colorado Rockies for Nolan Arenado, which is the best third baseman in Major League Baseball right now. So I'm like, dude, that's it. That, first of all, I would hate to see it because I don't like the Yankees one bit. But that would be a win for you guys. We're like, who would win that? The Yankees definitely want. Stanton is a power hitter, but he doesn't play half the season because he's always hurt. You would get rid of his big contract now. You would have to pay Arenado coming up after this year. But it would add another bat. He's really good at hitting, and he's a great third baseman. I don't know if this is something that's even in the works or maybe even thought about or whatever. But
I don't know if anyone's going to take that on a contract. That was kind of a weird. We did that, and I don't know really why we did that. I thought we were kind of straying away from that kind of crap, but they did it anyway, and at the time it made sense. He was good that year, I think, when we got him, and he's been really injury prone. But if the only way that would even possibly work is that if the Rockies were looking for somebody to bring people in to watch the games, plus the Yankees would probably have to give up at least one or two top prospects for him, which would be Debbie Garcia and I'm trying to think of somebody else that was another pitcher. I can't remember, but Debbie Garcia is one of the top prospects pitching wise, and he played in the postseason, I think, for a little bit. He did like pitch a couple innings and that was it. But other than that, he did well in the regular season, dominated a lot of teams that he was playing against and stuff. So they would have to give up a few prospects to allow that to happen, and I just don't see it, man. Gio Urshela's good, and they don't have to pay him a lot. And if they can continue keeping DJ LeMahieu, there's nothing wrong with their infield. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, first base maybe. I know they were mentioning if they can't get LeMahieu, then that would be an option. If LeMahieu gets signed somewhere else, which is possible, like the Mets or whoever, and the Yankees don't outbid a team, then that's a possibility. They would probably make that push to do that. Outside of that, if they can get DJ LeMahieu, then they're getting a pitcher. They've got to either re-sign Tanaka on a small 1-year deal or 2-year deal with incentives, and then get one more starting pitcher in there and kind of to solidify the rotation. Because honestly, that's the biggest need. Outside of Garrett Cole, we don't really know what the rotation looks like.
Hey, you could look at you could look at Yu Darvish. He's on the free agent market, and he was actually running up for a Cy Young Award winner last year. So he's still producing things that you might get on the. I don't know about. You don't think you'd have to pay him a lot of money. Maybe somewhere out there, but
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have for the sidelines. Really, not a whole lot coming in as far as that. The basketball starts up this month, which is insane to me. Insane. It seems like it just ended. But all right, our spotlight of the week, Jeff. The big news dropped this week that Carson Wentz will not start the next game. The coach has decided to play Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts, he came in. Green Bay just got off facing the Eagles, and I saw how bad Carson Wentz was. We sacked him 4 or 5 times. They brought in Jalen Hurts, and the team played better. He to me, and Jalen Hurts to me right now, he's a poor man's Lamar Jackson. All right, he can run. He uses his legs. That's what he did on us. He ran quite a bit, but and then Lamar Jackson and him don't throw the ball very well. That's their knock. Their knock coming out of college. Was Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball very well. So I don't know how you can be a really good quarterback. But that's not even the story. The story is Carson Wentz. The Eagles quarterback situation right now is a big mess. They are in the worst position in the NFL when it comes to the most important position in the NFL. Carson Wentz just signed this year, June of 2019. He signed a 4-year extension worth $128 million in June 2019. That extension doesn't even take place until next year. So they doubled down on Carson Wentz, said this is our guy. If they cut Carson Wentz next year, they will have a dead cap hit of $59.2 million, which means they're stuck with him because they're not going to cut him. I don't know if you can even trade him somewhere. Who's going to take that contract? Who's going to take Carson Wentz? Even if they trade him, Jeff, they still have to pay $34 million of dead cap space. If they cut him 2 years, if they cut him not next season, but the year after, they automatically have to pay it $35 million of dead cap space. That's a big issue. Carson Wentz looks broken. He can't figure out. First of all, he's having accuracy issues. Second of all, he can't figure out the pocket. He doesn't know when it's collapsing, when to stay in it, when to get out of it. He is mentally messed up. I think it's where it all comes from. You got to think about what the Eagles, they drafted him high, right? They made him the second pick of the draft when they drafted him in 2016. The Eagles, they won the Super Bowl in 2018, right? You're like, oh, Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl ring. Well, that was the year that Carson Wentz looked like the MVP. He got injured. Nick Foles comes into the playoffs and takes him the rest of the way and wins Super Bowl. The Eagles, so a lot of people discredit Wentz for even having a ring. A lot of people don't think that he had anything to do with it, which is absurd to me because he got him there. He got him to the point where they were that season, right? To me, there was rumors going around that when Jalen Hurts, the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. They drafted him pretty high after just signing a quarterback, Carson Wentz, right? They signed a quarterback. They go out and draft Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma in the second round. People were like, why are they drafting a quarterback? They said it really hurts Carson Wentz confidence. It hurt his confidence. It mentally screwed him up. This team also, Jeff, they have a statue of Nick Foles outside the stadium, not of Carson Wentz. Their guy that's supposed to be their superstar, the guy that's supposed to be the guy in Philly. It's the backup quarterback that everyone gives the credit for winning the Super Bowl. There's a lot of issues going on as to why Carson Wentz is mentally messed up. I think he needs a new team. I think he needs a new team that can give him a second shot. I think he is done in Philadelphia. I'm not talking about them getting rid of him because, like I said, they're stuck with Carson Wentz. It is what it is. They can't get rid of him unless they trade him somewhere. I don't know who's taking him right now. He is the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. He's thrown the most. He's fumbled the ball the most. It's just bad. And look, I know he has not much to work with. His wide receivers are crap. His offensive line's pretty bad. There's a lot going on, and the Philadelphia Eagles, winning the Super Bowl in 2018 to now, have completely fallen off a cliff. They're one game above the Dallas Cowboys in the division, the NFC least, as I like to call it. They're in trouble, Jeff. They are in definitely trouble, not even this season, but going forward for the next 2 years, and especially in trouble if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out either, which I don't think he will. I'm not very, very confident that he will work out for them. They've fallen very fast in a short amount of time in Philadelphia. Will their coach get fired? He just won him a ring in 2018. It's 2020. Does he get fired after this? He's had a lot of indecision on quarterback, on when to pull Carson Wentz and everything else. So the Eagles are screwed, buddy. The Eagles are screwed.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that, but it's very possible that he feels like he's not really a part of it. And it's possible that I think they could trade him, possibly. If he can kind of bounce back a little bit and improve a little bit, I think it will give enough to trade during the offseason. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously, now, but I'm talking about like during the offseason, it's very possible that they could get rid of that contract and trade him off if they sign a quarterback in the draft that they're confident in, that can possibly make this team better, and use this young talent to propel this team, or go with Jalen Hurts, draft a quarterback, let him kind of curate for a second, do a season with Jalen Hurts, even though it's probably going to be horrible, do it, and then get rid of Wentz and kind of be done with that situation, allowing him to move on, start a career in a different place, a fresh slate, and then it allows the Eagles to just start over. Just it's that kind of time. It's the time to do that in that division right now, because the division is just a joke. It's just not a good division. So I think if you're going to do it, I think the time would be now.
Well, their division is actually on pace to be the historically worst division in NFL history. And yeah, you're right. You're right as far as restarting, because there's not a lot of hope in that division this season. I think the Cowboys will be better next year. The Giants, the Giants and Redskins are showing some promise. The Giants just knocked off 4 in a row. The Redskins just knocked off the undefeated Steelers. There's promise on some of those teams. I'm not talking about for a Super Bowl, but to win the division. Now the Eagles I just don't understand it. How did they not see this? If they just signed him last year, how do you not see that he is declining? He is mentally messed up, and I think that's all it is. I used to be on the page that Wentz was better than Dak when they first was drafted. Dak Prescott was taken in the fourth round. Carson Wentz went in the first round, second pick in the first round. Higher hopes for him, but now Dak Prescott is way better than Carson Wentz at this point. I just think this is going to hinder the team. I think they will end up firing their head coach at the end of the season.
And that may be the problem. Who knows?
And it may be. Usually when you win a Super Bowl, you usually get at least 5 years, I think, after you win a Super Bowl to kind of see what's going on. But there's been so much dysfunction. They haven't drafted well either. You look at the draft picks they've had this last year. They had a chance to get DK Metcalf. He's a beast up in Seattle. They took Jalen Reagor from TCU. He's done nothing this year. They have missed on some draft picks. They have a beat-up offensive line. Their defense has been better. They've been getting better each game this year. But this team is in a world of hurt, because the quarterback's the most important position in sports, period. And when you have one that's that bad and you're paying that much money to, that's when it really hurts you. So I think unless he gets a new start, he's just going to plummet.
When it comes to football and when it comes to sports teams, the easiest way to change the situation and see if it's the players or if it's the team or if it's the system is fire the coach.
Well, see, the system works. It got him the Super Bowl.
Right, to me, a long time ago.
Now, 2018, that was 2 years ago.
Well,
now, they did lose Frank Wright. And Frank Wright was the offensive coordinator next to Doug Peterson. And he goes over and takes the Colts job. Now, they were talking about maybe that's where he could go, because Phil Rivers will probably be retired at the end of this year. They're going to need a quarterback. Maybe they take on Carson Wentz because they worked with each other before. They've had that success. There's a good offensive line there in Indianapolis that could maybe resurrect Carson Wentz's career. But to me, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm hitting that panic button right now. This is panic time until they figure out what they're going to do. It's panic time in Philadelphia, Jeff.
Yeah,
there's no other way to put it.
The draft is going to say a lot. If they draft a quarterback, then Wentz is out.
Right,
because when the thing is if they draft a quarterback, that means that they've been talking to somebody.
Right, interviewing,
right.
Scouts are out there interviewing quarterbacks stuff.
But if they're confident in let's just say they know where they're going to land in the draft at the end of the season, obviously, and they go, okay, look, we know who's possibly, and if this person is still in talks, or if this person falls to us that we want, and they're a quarterback, we're going to take that. And the second we take that, we're immediately calling to this team or this team or this team that have in the background talked to us about Wentz, because that'll be the telltale sign in the draft.
Well, it was head scratcher when they drafted Jalen Hurts, and in the second round. I mean, drafting him is fine if you do it in the fourth or fifth, maybe in the second round. That's still pretty high to take a backup quarterback. I'm guessing it's a good thing they did because Carson Wentz is actually benched, and we'll see if Jalen Hurts continues to play decent. He came in with Green Bay and he only had like 100 yards passing, and he rushed a little bit. He didn't do much.
I mean, I'll go as far as to even say that this division is just not very good, like in general. And that's why I say like this division is so weird because even when the Cowboys even when Dak was there, they were putting up points, but they were losing games.
Yeah, it was the same. With the Cowboys, it was the same issues as last year. All we heard was we have the number one offense in the league. We have the number one offense in the league. We put up the most numbers. Yeah, you were 8-8 though, so there's something missing. When Dak Prescott was there, they were 1-3. They weren't lighting it up on fire when Dak Prescott was there. There's a lot of that's a whole other story getting into Dallas Cowboys and all their problems that they have. And
I think the thing is like it's just this division, and as Eagles fans, if they're going to panic, that's fine, but there ain't anything good about this division.
No, and we might see something different next year coming off of an actual off season. I think they will have an off season last year or next year. They didn't have one this year. They all have three of the teams have new coaches. The Dallas Cowboys, Washington football team, and the Giants. And the Giants have won 4 in a row. Their coach is actually a Bill Belichick off the Bill Belichick coaching tree, which they usually don't do very well. But this one shows it seems some promise. He's got his defense playing really well. They just beat the Seattle Seahawks, Jeff, with their backup quarterback in Seattle. Washington just beat the Steelers and they're on their third string quarterback. Alex Smith was their third string quarterback coming into the year. There's a lot of issues going on right now, but that's a little teaser for next week, Jeff. The teaser for next week is next week's spotlight of the week. And the question, you want to go ahead and give it to you, or do you want me to go ahead and just leave it at that?
You can go ahead and throw a little taste.
All right. Well, I listen to sports talk radio all the time for work, right? Driving my truck, turn on that sports radio, listen for ideas for this podcast and different things. And they brought up a good question, Jeff. And the question was, why is Coach McCarthy getting a break when the Giants and the Washington football team are going through the same thing that you're going through? Why are we? And I'm talking about when we say a break, I'm talking about he's not getting as killed from as a fan base as of yet, because but why is that? Because the Redskins and the Giants are going through same exact situations. New coach, backup quarterbacks. So that's the teaser for next spotlight of the week. I don't want to answer too much into that because next week.
Yeah. I mean, I think to come back to this point here with this Eagles and even like this division in general, I would say even that if the Washington Redskins or the Washington football team drafts first in the draft and they get their quarterback, the people in this division should be worried. Not to say that it's a shoe-in and they get Trevor Lawrence and that's it and whatever. This team, their team's defense is pretty good.
No, you're right. And you're right, as in this defense is good. The Giants' defense is actually playing pretty good for their coach.
And you accompany that with a quarterback that could be a pretty good quarterback. I mean,
I expect them to make a quarterback change. Now, as far as it comes to the draft, the Washington football team they're 4-7 or 5-7. They're not going to get their one pick. They're not going to be in the top 5 or top 10. I don't think, maybe not even top 10 to draft a a quarterback that's going to come in and change anything right away. I do think they will make a change. Ron Rivera is head coach that took over.
Carson Wentz.
Oh, yeah. You don't want that. You want to stay 100 miles away from him. They drafted a quarterback last year, Jeff. They drafted Daniel Haskins coming out of Ohio State. He has completely imploded. Ron Rivera comes in this season and gave him a chance and then benched him, and they're looking to trade him. That was a missed opportunity. This defense, you're right, is really good. I think.
Yeah, I think the Washington football team I don't know. I think they've just been a joke in this division for a while, and I think now, again, this is my thing about just teams in general. There's enough times where you laugh at a team, and eventually they come back, and they're better than you thought they were going to be. And I'll say this because I did that with the Chiefs for years. The Chiefs were a joke. The Chiefs were a joke for so long. Like, it was just like, they'll make the playoffs, but that's kind of it. And now they're really, really good. They get the quarterback. They're just a really good team. And I know Cowboy fans always think, oh, we're the team to beat. We're the team in this division. We're the team. We are the team. But eventually you will not be the team. Somebody will eventually get better, and they will take you out.
Well, it's funny. I mean, when you say that with Dallas Cowboys, and I agree with you, they think that, but there's not been a back-to-back division winner of this division in a long, long time. So
at some point, that could change. Like, I mean, you're talking about no one knew Patrick Mahomes was going to be good. No one knew he was going to be that good. So it's possible.
The Washington football team, they are a quarterback and another wide receiver threat away from being a pretty good team. I really like their coach. Talk about this guy. All right. Look, their team is 5-7. They're not killing it. They're not out there blowing teams away. But Ron Rivera's come in and done a really good job with his team. This guy, he's not going to win Coach of the Year, obviously. But this guy, Jeff's gone through cancer this year. A lot of people forget that. Mm-hmm. He's battling cancer during the year. Beat cancer during the year. Has his team playing well. They're playing with fight. He deserves to be into the honorable mention of Coach of the Year, what he's gone through. And he's a good football coach. And I think he can turn this organization around. This ownership, though, is a big joke. They've been a joke for a long time, and that's the biggest issue now. The biggest thing with them is right now they've been going through sexual misconduct, lawsuits, and everything to where they might force the owners to sell the team. They're still in litigations and stuff going on, investigations. They could force the NFL could force them to sell the team. They could get a decent owner in there, someone to come buy them, and they could really turn this franchise around to where it's not a laughingstock of an organization. They have a good head coach that's good at having his team fight for him. And you're not right. And I look at the same thing with the New York Giants. This team has been probably the most successful team in the last 20 years in this division. They have 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning.
Multiple playoff appearances.
Multiple playoff appearances. They've done it, and they've had good head coaches. And it's not a laughingstock of an organization. I think they could turn that around. They have Josh Daniels. Why do I keep wanting to call this guy Josh Daniels? Their quarterback, what's his quarterback? Daniel Jones. And he's decent. He's turned out to be a little bit better than I thought we thought he would be. He came from Duke. Their defense is playing really well right now. And their head coach seems to have a team playing for them. And that is something that's, they don't show any quit right now. So you're not wrong. These 2 teams, I think, could be pretty good. And the Eagles are panic mode, and the Cowboys are not good this year at all. And we'll get into that a little bit next week. The Cowboys are a team that could be it's 50-50. They could be completely different and be really good next year, or they could be the. I don't think they'll be as bad as they are this year. I don't know. They'll be a mediocre 8-8. So, in my opinion, and they've got some questions there at quarterback. Do they sign Dak Prescott? Do they trade Dak Prescott? Do they try and draft a quarterback in the top, because they have that number 4 pick in the NFL draft right now? A lot of questions going on in this division mainly, but the Eagles need to hit that panic button. It's time to hit that panic button with Carson Wentz. I think he is through there in Philly, not saying that they're going to get rid of him next season. I think they probably hold on to him one more year because of the cap indications that they're going to take that such a negative hit. It would be the biggest cap hit in NFL history if they just straight up cut him. So it's not going to happen.
Right. But it's just a disaster of how it goes from, and that's how quick it can change in the NFL. 2018, you're Super Bowl champions. 2 years later, your team's in turmoil. You don't know if you have your star quarterback, which you don't. You just sign him to a big contract, and he is falling off the map. So that had to be brought up because they're going to see how Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts, he's got his first start, Jeff's against the Saints. Saints have one of the top defenses in the league. This is not going to be easy for him. We'll see what kind of game plan that Doug Peterson can work with him. If they use his legs a little bit more. But I just don't see them having success with him either in Philadelphia. So, but all right. That's the end of the spotlight of the week. Panic button for the Eagles, man. Panic button for the Eagles. We got the top 5 games of week 14, Jeff, and I struggled to find 5 good games. So some of these games I'm like, So number 1, you got the Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. This one's one of the good ones. The Steelers are 11-1. The Bills are 9-3, I believe, right now. They're looking good. They started off strong. They slowed down a little bit. They've been under the radar a little bit with the Buffalo Bills. I've got the Buffalo Bills winning this football game. Josh Allen is playing a really high level right now. He's taken that step from last season. Their defense is good. I think that they're going to give the Steelers a tough time scoring points. I got the Buffalo Bills giving the Steelers back-to-back losses this year. I think the Steelers bounce back. I think that they are going to kind of look to win this game. I think it's more of that kind of what happened to the Packers earlier in the season, where they were on a roll and then they lost, and it was kind of like, what's going on? And to a team they probably shouldn't have lost to, and then bounce back. And so I think this is that kind of time for the Steelers. I think they will pull out a win. I don't think it will be a big time win, but I think they will pull out a win.
All right, game number 2, we got the Ravens versus the Browns. 2 teams that like to run the ball a lot. They both run the ball really well. The Browns just beat up the Tennessee Titans. The Ravens just beat up an easy Dallas Cowboys football team. I got the Cleveland Browns winning this game. I think they're going to be able to run it down the Baltimore's throat. Baker Mayfield's coming off one of the best performances of his career. I think he'll be able to throw the ball on Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson has been figured out by the league. Can't throw the ball very well. I got the Browns winning this, and they are quietly putting up a really good record there in Cleveland.
This is the game where the Madden curse will happen. No, I'm kidding.
You're calling your shot here, are we?
No, I think that curse was broken at some point. I think the Madden curse was broken. I don't remember who broke it. Last year
with Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
That's where it was. If Lamar Jackson comes out and breaks his leg on Sunday, I'm going to call you up. Be like, Jeff, you called your shot.
No. I think the Browns will win this game. I don't trust the Ravens. I trust their defense. I don't trust their offense. I trust the Browns offense more than I trust the Ravens offense right now, because they're just not playing that well. It was a win against the Cowboys, but it was the running game that really did that. I don't think they're going to run against the Browns. I think it will have to be through the air, and if it's through the air, once you make an offense a one-dimensional offense, you'll own that offense. And I think that as long as the Browns throw the ball and score quickly, I think it'll force the Ravens to throw. And once that happens, then it's over.
Yep, that's how you beat the Ravens. You get up early. They're not a team that can get back into it by throwing it. I do not believe Lamar Jackson. People are going to call me crazy, and he was the MVP last year. The NFL's figured him out. At least the NFC teams have, or the AFC teams have. The Browns are in their division. They watch a lot of Lamar tape. So I just don't believe in Lamar Jackson. And there you go. Number 3, the Ravens versus the Patriots. And the Patriots are always a team that find a way to win somehow. They beat the Arizona Cardinals, who were on a roll, and Cam Newton only had 80 yards passing. Like, how do you beat somebody with that? It's Bill Belichick. That's what that is. The smarts of Bill Belichick. They're facing the Rams this week. The Rams have been on a roll. The Rams are a good defensive team. Give Jared Goff a stop, turn over the football. They can have an explosive offense. I picked the Rams to win this game. I think they're going to pressure Cam Newton too much up the middle with Aaron Darnold. Jalen Ramsey can shut down any wide receiver in the league. I just think it's too much for the Patriots this year, and I think the Rams win this game, and they're looking closer to seal their tough division.
I'm going to go with the Rams. I do not trust the Patriots offense. Defense is good. Defense is really good, but their offense is garbage. I do not like Cam Newton. I don't think that he's very good. I didn't think he was good in the Super Bowl.
No.
But, so I don't think that but I think that, oh my gosh, to go back to the Super Bowl 50, that was a year when he was just running the ball pretty much.
Hey, he was the MVP that year, and I don't want to say he had 1 year. That's what it was. It was 1 year, and that was the outlier. That was the outlier of his career. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
No,
never really. He never really put it together consistently. No. And it's not a good matchup. Bill Belichick is a hard ass, and Cam Newton is a guy that gets butthurt real easily. So it's not a good matchup. Cam Newton will basically be I don't think he'll be the quarterback next year for the New England Patriots, and I don't know who picks him up. But
I mean, I'll take the Rams in this one, and I just don't. I think that the experiment in New England is about up.
Yeah,
like the experiment with that is about up, and this could even be the game that kind of tips the scale in that direction. I just don't think that. I think the Rams will win this game easy.
All right, number 4, you got the Vikings versus the Bucks. And I picked this game because, first of all, there wasn't a lot of good games. The Vikings have been playing better as of late. They have 2 great wide receivers. They have, actually, I think, who might be the rookie of the year since Joe Burrow got hurt, and Justin Herbert's team's playing really bad as of late. They just got beat 45-0 by the Patriots, by the way. So Justin Jefferson is a wide receiver for them, and he's been playing lights out. He's been playing better than Jerry Jeudy. He's been playing better than CeeDee Lamb, who, which I get it. Both of them are missing their quarterbacks. He's been playing lights out. Straight up, this guy's a beast. It's a guy that Green Bay's going to have to face twice a year for a long time, and I freaking hate that. This is a guy I wanted out of the draft for Aaron Rodgers. He's a beast of a wide receiver. I watched him with LSU play with Joe Burrow. They moved up in the draft and got him. I was pissed that they did. He's a great guy. He might win Rookie of the Year as a wide receiver. We'll see if that happens. The Buccaneers are a team that are hit and miss. Some weeks they come out and they look like they have the best defense in the league, and Tom Brady throws 4 touchdown passes. And sometimes they come out and Tom Brady has 3 interceptions and they get blown out. I think the Bucs find a way to win against the Vikings. They're going to be able to shut down Dalvin Cook and make Kirk Cousins beat them. And anytime you can do that, it's usually a loss for the Minnesota Vikings?
This is going to be a very interesting game. This is going to be because I think a lot of talk about Tom Brady. Is this it? Is he not good anymore? Blah blah blah. This is a statement game for him. He's got to come out and shut everybody up, and it's possible that he can. So I think I'm gonna go with the Bucs on this one.
I'm going to tell you something that's going on in Tampa Bay, Jeff. And this was the matchup with their coach. Bruce Arians, all right, throw some history here. Bruce Arians is a coach, all right, who likes to throw the ball deep down the field almost every play. He wants the deep passing attacks. Tom Brady is a guy that's lived off of the short pass his entire career with New England. It doesn't match up very well. Tom Brady's asked to do things that he's not used to doing at his old age. I think the coach gets fired at the end of this year because he's not a match with Tom Brady, and they get a different guy in there. But when you look back at some of Bruce Arians' teams, Bruce Arians coached Peyton Manning's first year in the league. That was Peyton Manning's most interceptions he's ever thrown in his career. He coached Jameis Winston last year, who had 30 interceptions, who had the most interceptions of his career. And there's another guy who did that too. I don't think it's Tom Brady. I think it's the system that Bruce Arians wants to run there in Tampa. And I think they find a way to get away from Bruce Arians next year so Tom Brady can set his system into place or something that's better to his liking. And I think that's just smart. I think if you have a quarterback that's not used to that, you just don't throw him into it and ask him to change. Right. So you've got to coach your players and say, hey, look, this is what we need to do to optimize our quarterback and what he can do. You just don't keep your system and be stubborn and say, no, you're going to accumulate to this system. Tom Brady's thrown more interceptions this year than he's thrown in a long time. I think that's the disconnect there, and I think Tom Brady's frustrated in Tampa. They have a good defense. They have the offensive weapons, but I think it's a system. I think Coach finds his way to be fired next year unless they go to the Super Bowl and win because they don't match up together with Tom Brady. And that's the reason they brought him in there was to win. So,
yeah, I agree with that.
Number 5 in the last game for next week is the Chiefs versus the Dolphins. And this kind of a game I think is going to be like the Denver Bronco game when we just saw the Chiefs play. The Dolphins have a really good defense. This is going to be Tua Tagovailoa versus Patrick Mahomes. I think it's Tua. I think he's back from his injury. He had a thumb injury that he missed the last game with, but I think he's back this week. The Dolphins' good defense will frustrate Patrick Mahomes, but I can't not root like I'm rooting for Patrick Mahomes. I just can't bet against him. I think that the Chiefs will find a way to win. Like I talked about earlier, Patrick Mahomes just finds a way to win when it counts. I got the Chiefs winning this game as well.
Yeah, I can't argue that at all. Until someone figures him out, it's hard to go against the Chiefs. Until teams start figuring out how to get to him, how to figure, how to kind of play against him. And really, that's going to be the division teams that he plays multiple times a year.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins will figure it out. So I think he will win. It's weird that they're winning close games lately. So yeah, that's a little weird and odd.
The Chiefs or the Dolphins?
Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. What I've noticed this year is they're not blowing teams out like they did last year.
No,
that's exactly,
which is interesting.
Right, it is, and I think that is part of the league figuring out Patrick Mahomes. Right, either figuring out, hey, okay, this is what we got to do, but Patrick Mahomes still finding a way to win. That's what elite quarterbacks do. Is once they figure you out, you've got to change something up. You've got to do something different, and that's the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. The league didn't know about Lamar Jackson last year. He ran all over him. He did his job. He won the MVP. They've decided, they've done their research. They figured him out this year, and it's the Baltimore Ravens and the Lamar Jackson's job to make those adjustments. I don't think they're making them that this year. And I think it's the biggest difference, but especially between those two quarterbacks. But that goes with any quarterback in the league. Once you figure it out, the great ones figure a way to trick you to win games. Even though we figured them out, they're still getting the job done. And that's what made Patrick Mahomes so special. Is I don't think even if you figure him out, that he's very much going to be very hard to stop, regardless of what's going on. So.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is with teams is that if you control the time of possession and you make it close, I think that gives you the opportunity to beat Mahomes. I think as long as you can do that, you have to have a really good defense to beat this guy, period.
Right.
And so even to have a chance to beat him, and teams that figure that out where they have a really good defense, you have a chance to beat the person because you can limit his numbers and you can limit the points. And, you're kind of starting to see that with the Broncos a little bit. I think that John Elway and Vic Fangio, especially Vic Fangio, is starting to figure out ways to beat Mahomes. And if you can figure that out, you're going to be a good team defensively.
Yeah, you can beat almost anybody. So, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And division games are always tougher for that reason. You got much more tape on him. You face him twice a year. And, it sucks for you that he's in your division.
Well, it doesn't, because it gives your team the ability to see one of the best players in the league, and have to play against them constantly. And I think there's a reason why the Dolphins always managed to beat New England. Like they always had Tom Brady's number. You know what I mean?
Right.
Always
because that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, man. Let's switch gears here a little bit before we jump off the episode. Is Cyberpunk already out?
No,
for the PlayStation?
No. PC,
okay.
PC, but not on
PC,
not on console.
When is it coming out for console? I know it's been delayed and stuff, but when does it?
Tomorrow.
When does it come out? Oh, okay. I knew it was close.
Yeah.
This is a game I can't wait to get. I say that, but then I was just talking to the wife and I really don't want to get any more games until I get a PlayStation 5, which I don't know when that's going to be. But, I just don't. I know you get a free upgrade and stuff, but I just kind of want to wait and play it on the PS5. But
yeah,
are you going to pick it up tomorrow?
It makes sense. It's pre-downloaded, so it's just what we're waiting
at midnight. Nice.
Waiting, and so once it unlocks, and then I think there'll probably be a day one patch. It's a big beast though. It's about 140 gigs, I think. So it's a big game. But it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, that'll probably get smaller. I think more of that is just patchwork. So a lot of that's just fixing bugs, fixing glitches, things like that. It received a 0-day patch and it's receiving a day one patch. So there's two different patches that are coming out to fix a lot of issues and bugs and whatever. But yeah, highly anticipated game. It seems like right now it's sitting at a 91 on Metacritic, which means overall, generally, as people are enjoying it. I think that it's a very different kind of game, and if people understand what that means, they'll enjoy it. I think if you're comparing it to things like Blade Runner, it's not the same kind of game. It's not the same style as Blade Runner. Blade Runner is very serious. This is not to say that this isn't a very serious game. It's just not that kind of style. It's kind of like a very over-the-top version. It's like if you had something like The Matrix and you had something like Blade Runner, and it was like a mix of that. So The Matrix is very flashy, right? You go in The Matrix and they're flying around and they got nice clothes and interesting stuff and everything's over the top and whatever. And Blade Runner is very low key, very detective.
Yeah.
And so you mix both of those together and that's kind of what you're getting. So it's really cool. I think it's something I've been waiting for 8 years. I remember they teased the trailer back. Teased the trailer back in 2012. And ever since they teased it, I was just like, when is this game coming out? When is this game coming out? And so they released Witcher 3. And they were like, okay, now we're going to work on it. And I'm like, gosh. So it's been a while, but it's been something I've been dreaming about playing for a very long time. mainly because it is the genre that I enjoy the most. I love cyberpunk world. I love the Matrix. I love Blade Runner. I love that entire style. And it's finally, we're getting a real good experience in that where you can kind of go anywhere, do what you want to do. There's going to be a multiplayer mode to that. They're going to announce sometime next year. This is going to be very much like a Grand Theft Auto experience, but in a cyberpunk universe. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to play it. When you get it, you need to stream that bad boy on Watson_playbook at Twitch, and stream that up there. I know you will. You've been pretty good at putting your videos up there. Yeah,
I'll stream it and just don't bring the kitties in the room if you do. It's gonna be it's gonna be a hard R game. It's it's gonna be probably nudity in it. I'm sure there's probably gonna be I know there's gore in it. So it's gonna be there's cussing, that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be it's a very mature game.
Well, I'm not sure how many kiddos are sitting around watching.
Well, you never know.
Stream, but you never know. That's right.
And then I know I was doing the Spider-Man stuff. Spider-Man just released a patch today for 60 frames per second, 4K with ray tracing.
Oh, nice.
So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
I was playing at 30 frames with ray tracing because I really like ray tracing. And then when I heard that today, I was like, nice. I was like, that's really cool.
Ray tracing is very beautiful. All I've been playing, I've been hooked on Call of Duty. I've been trying out different guns and different things, and I've been hooked on that Call of Duty Warzone. That's really all I've been playing.
And there's supposed to be a new season for that on the 16th. So on the 16th, if anybody's in Warzone, something might happen to the world there. So kind of keep an eye on that.
Changing them. I like how they do that. They go and they can change it to maps and have different storylines to it. And only thing I don't like about it is when they start a new season, you drop in your ranking. I got to build myself back up. But I've been playing that a lot, and we've been watching. Actually, I watched a show called what is it called, Jeff? I started and watched their 30 minutes of it the other day. It's a show on Amazon Prime, and it's about superheroes if they were like real and like.
I think it's called The Boys, right?
Yes, thank you, The Boys, and it's a rated R, and it's very mature, and it's kind of like if superheroes were not evil as in doing bad things, but things happen, and there's like, oh, I'm sorry, like the very first episode. This guy's walking out with his girlfriend. They're kind of like going to lunch or whatever. They're talking or whatever. And she like turns around. They go to kiss each other. And I don't know if you've seen this show, but Flash, the guy who plays Flash in the show, and he's not called Flash because, they don't have the rights to the names. They call him something else. He literally runs through this lady, through her, as this guy's kissing her. You just see if they slow it down, and you just see blood fly out of this guy's face. And they kind of like pan to the side, and there's spinal cord, and there's blood, and just everywhere. And the guy literally runs. He's running so fast, he disintegrates her basically.
Oh my God!
This guy's kissing her, dude. It's insane. I was like, what the heck? And the guy looks down, and he's still holding her hands. They're still in his hand. He's like, ah! And that's in the first like 10 minutes of the show. And I'm like, holy crap! I was only able to watch like 30 minutes of it. They're hour episodes. I'm gonna try that out. I hear it's really, really good. If you're looking for a new show. Other than that, that's about it. We've been watching me and her have been watching The Big Bang Theory together. We're almost done with that. And my show I'm watching by myself is The Bros. It's pretty interesting so far. I saw a girl get disintegrated.
Yeah, that, so. I mean, I think we're just kind of, trying to chill out, and I know that we'll probably end up watching Wonder Woman on HBO Max.
Yeah.
This month, I think, comes out. So.
It's Christmas. Christmas Day it comes out.
Yeah. So we'll probably watch that.
For HBO Max is all Warner Brothers movies through 2021 will be on HBO Max and in theater. The theaters are pissed. They're really mad about it because they said it's going to kill the theaters, and the HBO Max told them to basically just relax. Let's see where the numbers are at next year. I love it. I can stream it at home. Now, me and the wife do like to go to the theaters on dates, and that's what we do is we go out and have a good meal, and we go to the movie theaters, and we like to go to the movie theaters. So we're going to still do that. But Warner Brother movies, we can sit on our couch and watch with that service. And they actually, the stock market of AMC actually fell. They dropped drastically after HBO Max came out with that news. So
it's going to be interesting because, yeah, I think the same thing's going to happen with Disney Plus.
Yep. I don't see why not right now, especially with COVID. No one's going to movie theaters, and they're talking about theaters around here. I don't know if it's AMC or Cinema. I think Cinemark, they said, will be bankrupt at the end of this year. So they're struggling right now, and it sucks. Because I think they'll bounce back eventually once it's COVID. Yeah. And it won't. It's not like it's going to be gone forever. But if they close down for maybe next year, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
and it's a very big possibility that when they do open back up, we'll probably see a lot of incentives to go, like lower prices, lower prices on concessions, lower, themed movie theaters, like kind of like Alamo Drafthouse does a lot of themes and stuff like that. So, things that are going to be different experiences. That's kind of what's going to entice people coming back. It's going to be a while because everybody's going to be very leery of going to the movie theater and be like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I think that it'll work over time and they'll be back. So
yeah, it'll definitely be back. But all right, Jeff, that's going to wrap up this episode number 30 of Watson's Playbook here. I don't know if you got much else to add. Just hope you guys have a good week. Christmas shopping has begun in the Watson household, and that's about it, man. That's about it.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is anybody's gamer or whatever. Just tomorrow, I think for 4 hours. It's gonna be a long one. The Game Awards are going to be hosted on YouTube, I think. I think it's just called the Game Awards, but they're going to have reveals. We're going to finally see what's kind of expected for next year. A lot of game reveals, a lot of game teases. There's supposed to be some surprise announcements. So it's going to be pretty interesting tomorrow. I know Sony probably will have a few things that will be announced and possibly even shown off. I know there's rumors of God of War being shown off, which would be crazy. But I mean, you have to understand, we didn't have a E3. We didn't really have any shows. So this is kind of the first real show this year in terms of like all games, But,
right. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on me this week. We gave you a little spoiler alert of our spotlight of the week next week, and kind of think about that question. I'll text it to you again. I've asked a couple of my buddies around here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area their answers to the questions, and we'll see how we feel about that next week. And I hope you have a good one, Jeff. Thanks for jumping on, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Take care, everybody.